The Vatican attempted to conceal it, yet the truth inevitably emerges. For over a century, humanity remained uninformed. The third secret of Fatima, a message supposedly delivered by the Virgin Mary, was hidden, suppressed, and misrepresented. It was deemed too dangerous, the world unprepared, and the potential impact on people's faith too significant. But the question remains, are you ready for the truth? If this secret concerns the end times, why the prolonged concealment? If the Church knew its contents, why the silence? If the prophecy unfolds before our eyes, this could be the most crucial video you encounter. Leaving before the end might mean missing vital information about impending global events. Stay until the end, because in the coming minutes, you will learn what the Church omitted about Fatima, the current signs, Pope Francis's knowledge of the secret, and worst of all, if something remains hidden from the Virgin. Mary appeared in 1917, revealing 3 shocking secrets to 3 innocent children in Portugal. The first 2 were released and fulfilled with terrifying accuracy. The third, however, was kept under lock and key by the Vatican. The deadline for its revelation was 1960, but the Church refused, citing the world's unpreparedness. But why was the world unprepared? The third secret of Fatima contained something so devastating that its revelation could alter everything. Now, clues have begun to surface. Cardinals have leaked fragments. Witnesses claim it speaks of something far darker than wars and catastrophes. Sources within the clergy suggest the true content involves the collapse of faith within the Church. Look around. Faith is waning, churches are empty, Christian values are under attack, and the Church itself appears internally divided. Coincidence? Or are we witnessing the prophesied events? Stay until the end and connect the dots. The more you know, the more you will understand that the pieces of this puzzle create an undeniable scenario. If you think you know everything about Fatima, prepare to be surprised. The truth begins now. In the next chapter, we return to the beginning, to that day in 1917 that changed the world's destiny. Fatima, Portugal, 1917. An ordinary day for 3 children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, tending their sheep in a small village. Something occurred that would alter their lives forever and mark one of humanity's most enigmatic events. The sky seemed full of mystery. The wind ceased, silence enveloped the field, and an intense light appeared on the horizon. At the center of the light, a figure materialized. Its brightness exceeded the sun's, yet it did not hurt. Fear gripped the children, but they were soon overcome by an indescribable peace. It was a woman in white robes, enveloped in light. Her gaze was deep. Her words seemed to originate from beyond time and space. This woman was no ordinary person, not just a vision. She presented herself as the Virgin Mary, bearing a message unlike others. It was not simply a request for prayer, nor a call to faith. What she revealed to those children was far greater, something that would later divide the Church, generate theories, awaken fear, and create one of Christianity's greatest mysteries. From that day forward, everything changed. The apparition occurred on May 13, 1917, but it was not the only one. In the following months, the woman returned on the 13th of each month. With each visit, her words became more urgent and alarming. She spoke of difficult times, of trials to come, of wars, suffering, and destruction. But most frightening was her insistence on a dangerous future. Humanity was about to embark on an irreversible path, and if it did not change, if it did not return to God, it would face the consequences. The children listened silently, absorbing every word, yet even they could not imagine the impact these revelations would have on the world. Soon, the news spread. People began traveling to Fatima to witness what was happening. At first, there were only a few curious individuals, but as the months passed, crowds began to gather. On October 13, 1917, over 70,000 people assembled on that same field. Everyone wanted to see, everyone wanted to understand. What transpired that day defied scientific explanation. Until that day, the sun, which had shone in the sky, began to spin. It moved as if dancing, emitting beams of colored light. Then, something even more frightening occurred. The sun began to fall. Panic seized the crowd. People screamed, cried, knelt down. The end of the world seemed imminent. But then, suddenly, everything returned to normal. The sun resumed its position, and the sky cleared. Yet, something was different. Nothing would ever be the same. The church had to respond. The event was undeniable. Eyewitnesses recounted what they had seen. Skeptical newspapers, which had previously ridiculed the apparitions, published articles reporting the phenomenon. Science attempted to explain it but failed. What happened in Fatima that day was beyond human comprehension. It confirmed that the children were telling the truth. But the question arose, was it all real? What exactly did Mary reveal to them? What was said during those apparitions that made the church tremble? What lay behind the secret that would remain hidden for so long? The answer came shortly after. 3 messages were delivered to the children. The first and second secrets were revealed to the world, and both were fulfilled. But the third secret was different. The church hesitated to make it public. What did it contain that needed to be hidden? What could Mary have said that could shake the faith of millions? In the coming days, we will understand the content of these secrets. But most importantly, we will reveal why the third secret of Fatima remains one of the greatest mysteries in human history. And the question that cannot be ignored, is it already being fulfilled before our eyes? What was said in Fatima was not just any message. They were not vague words or common spiritual advice. They were direct warnings, revelations about the future that, if ignored, could condemn millions of souls. Our Lady revealed 3 secrets to the children. Over the years, 2 of them were confirmed with astounding precision. If the first secrets were so impactful, what can be said about the third, the one that the Church chose to hide? The first revelation occurred during Mary's initial meetings with the three young shepherds. She did not hesitate, nor did she soften her words. What she showed them was terrifying. The first secret was a vision of hell, not a metaphor, not an abstract concept. The children saw the suffering of condemned souls. They heard screams of pain. They felt the despair of those trapped there for eternity. Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta were never the same after that experience. The vision was so powerful that Francisco and Jacinta began living in constant penance. They prayed ceaselessly, made sacrifices, and embraced voluntary pain to try to save as many souls as possible. The warning from the Virgin Mary was clear. Hell was not a myth, the danger was real. If the world did not change, if people did not repent, the fate of many souls was sealed. But the first secret paled in comparison to the second. If the first vision showed the fate of condemned souls, the second secret warned about the destiny of the world. Our Lady revealed that if humanity did not convert, a new and even worse war would occur. In 1917, World War I was nearing its end. For many, the suffering seemed to be ending. But Mary warned that if people continued to turn away from God, an even greater war would devastate the world. The warning was ignored, and 2 decades later, World War II began, the greatest conflict in human history, with millions of deaths and indescribable atrocities. It happened exactly as prophesied. But the prophecy did not end there. Mary also warned of a danger that would affect the Church in a more subtle, but equally destructive way. She spoke of the need to consecrate Russia to her Immaculate Heart. If this was not done, the country would spread its errors throughout the world, leading to the persecution of Christians and the weakening of the faith. Again, the warning was ignored. Shortly after, Russia became the birthplace of atheistic communism. The Soviet regime not only persecuted Christians, but attempted to erase all traces of Christian faith across the globe. The 20th century was marked by revolutions, dictatorships, and a significant shift away from spiritual values. The first 2 secrets were revealed and fulfilled with frightening accuracy. But the third was different. The world was deemed unprepared. What was so serious about this secret that it remained hidden for so long? The decision to conceal the secret led to much speculation. Some theories suggested it spoke of the world's end. Others believed it revealed a significant crisis within the Church itself. Some even thought the secret foretold a time of great apostasy, where faith would be abandoned and even the clergy corrupted. But what was truly said in this third secret? The Vatican released an official version in 2000, but many believe it is only part of the truth. Could the revealed content be incomplete? Is there something so impactful that, if revealed, it could alter the course of Christian faith? In the following chapters, we will examine the evidence, leaks, and signs suggesting we are living through what was prophesied in Fatima. The third secret is not just a revelation of the past, it may be unfolding before our eyes. The truth remains hidden, but not for long. In the next chapter, we will explore what the Vatican revealed in 2000 and why many believe this revelation is incomplete. The Church hid something, and the time has come to uncover it. For decades, the world waited. The deadline was 1960. The Church was supposed to reveal the third secret of Fatima, the final part of the message delivered by the Virgin Mary to the three young shepherds. But when the time arrived, the Vatican refused. The official reason: humanity was not yet ready. If we were not ready in 1960, after World War II, the rise of communism, and the Cold War, when would we be? The Vatican's silence fueled speculation. What could be so serious that the Church was afraid to share it? Did it concern the end times? A global catastrophe? The destruction of faith itself? For 40 years, nothing was revealed. Then, in 2000, the Vatican released what it claimed was the true content of the third secret. The official document described a symbolic vision. Lucia saw a bishop dressed in white, whom many interpreted as the Pope, walking through the ruins of a destroyed city. Corpses of Christians and priests were scattered along the way. Finally, this bishop was killed by soldiers in a brutal attack. This vision was interpreted as a prophetic representation of the 1981 attack on Pope John Paul II in St. Peter's Square. According to this interpretation, the third secret had already been fulfilled, and no further mystery remained. However, this explanation did not convince everyone. In fact, it raised more questions. If the secret concerned the assassination attempt on the Pope, why should it have been revealed in 1960, more than 20 years before the event? And, more importantly, why did influential figures within the Church suggest that the true content of the secret had not been disclosed? Over the years, information has leaked indicating there was more to the story. Cardinal Silvio Oddi publicly stated his belief that the essential part of the third secret remained hidden. Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano also suggested the released version was incomplete. But the most shocking testimony came from Father Malachi Martin, a former member of the Vatican's High Command, who claimed to have read the true secret. He described its content as terrible, something that could shake the faith of Christians and the structure of the Church itself. Even more disturbing, before the official revelation, a letter from Sister Lucia, reportedly describing the secret's contents, was sent to the Vatican. This letter was locked away, its contents guarded as one of the Church's greatest secrets. When John Paul II finally released the third secret in 2000, many noticed the published version differed significantly from the other Fatima messages. The earlier prophecies were direct and objective, offering clear warnings about wars and suffering. The Vatican's official version of the third secret, however, was vague, symbolic, and ambiguous. Something was amiss. The prevailing theory among scholars and Church members is that the most impactful part of the secret was withheld. What could be so frightening as to justify this concealment? The answer may lie in one of Our Lady's earliest warnings. She not only predicted wars and conflicts, but also cautioned that the greatest danger to the faith would originate from within the Church itself. In other words, the third secret of Fatima would not only speak of a physical attack on a pope, but also of an unprecedented crisis of faith, an apostasy within the Vatican itself, an infiltration of evil into the highest spheres of the Catholic Church. This would explain the Vatican's hesitation in disclosing the secret. If the prophecy foretold a future where the Church would suffer an internal rupture and deviate from its divine mission, then this future might already be underway. And if it were happening, public revelation of the secret could deeply shake the faith of the faithful. Consider the current situation, the crisis of values, the loss of faith, the internal divisions within the Church. We witness a gradual departure from traditional Christian teachings. Churches are emptying, the faithful are losing faith in the institution, and morality is dissolving in an increasingly relativistic society. Could this be the fulfillment of the third secret of Fatima? More than a century after the apparitions, the question is not just whether the secret has been revealed, but whether it has already begun to unfold before us. In the next chapter, we will analyze recent events that suggest this prophecy may be coming true. We will examine the changes within the Church, the words of Pope Francis, and the intensifying crises in the world today. The signs are clear, but the crucial question is, are we prepared for what comes next? The greatest proof of a prophecy's authenticity lies not in the words, but in the facts. For decades, the Vatican remained silent about the third secret of Fatima, claiming humanity was not ready. But now, the signs are everywhere. What was said in 1917 seems to be coming true with frightening precision. What was previously treated as mystery or theory now manifests before our eyes. And the question few dare to ask is, are we already living what was predicted? The first clear sign is within the Church itself. Our Lady warned of a time when faith would begin to crumble, not only among the faithful, but also within the ecclesiastical hierarchy. Corruption, scandals, division between cardinals and bishops, the departure from traditional Christian teachings, all are happening now. Pope Francis has spoken on several occasions about a time of trial within the Church, a devilish hour, where faith will be tested and many will abandon the path of truth. Are these words merely reflections, or a recognition that the crisis within the Church may be precisely what was predicted at Fatima? The second sign is the loss of moral values. The society we know is collapsing. Relativism is growing. Truth becomes subjective, and everything becomes permissible. What was once considered sacred is now ridiculed. What was once non-negotiable is now debated, made flexible, and even rejected. Our Lady warned that if humanity did not repent, sin would spread like a corrupting disease through all spheres of life. Today, statistics show that faith is in decline. The number of people who identify as Christian plummets year after year. Churches are emptying. Priests and pastors lament the divisions among the faithful. What was seen as a pillar of society is disintegrating before us. The third sign lies in the global crises. Our Lady spoke of wars, persecutions, and catastrophes that would occur if the world did not turn to God. And what do we see today? Conflicts that seem endless, geopolitical tensions rising, world leaders openly discussing nuclear war, pandemics sweeping the globe, natural disasters increasing in intensity and frequency, hunger and poverty affecting millions. All these events were predicted in the message of Fatima, yet most people continue to ignore the signs, believing it is all just coincidence. The fourth sign, and perhaps the most worrying, is religious persecution. Our Lady warned that a time would come when Christians would be persecuted, not only physically, but also morally. This time has arrived. In many parts of the world, Christians are killed for their faith. However, persecution isn't confined to distant lands. In the West, it manifests subtly but devastatingly. Christianity is being slowly erased from culture. Religious discourse is censored. Laws are enacted to silence those who oppose the world's agenda. The Christian faith is marginalized, treated as an obstacle to progress. But progress for whom? Analyzing current events, it's impossible not to recognize that the warnings of Fatima are being fulfilled, not abstractly, not as metaphors, but as concrete, daily observable facts. The apostasy has begun. The destruction of values is underway. The signs are everywhere. The crucial question is, what is yet to come? Our Lady said that if the world did not convert, something terrible would happen. Does this mean there is still time to avert the worst, or have we already passed the point of no return? In the next chapter, we will delve deeper into recent events and the words of Pope Francis, which may indicate we are closer to the final revelation than we imagine. What does the Church know, and what has it not yet revealed? What will be the next major event, and what can we do in the face of all this? The truth is closer than ever. But are we ready to hear it? For centuries, the Vatican hesitated to fully reveal the third secret of Fatima. In 2000, an official version was released, but for many, it seemed incomplete, ambiguous, and lacking the expected gravity. If the secret has been fully revealed, why do cardinals and bishops still insinuate the full message never came to light? Why do important figures within the Vatican avoid speaking openly about the subject? And, importantly, why has Pope Francis made statements that seem to confirm something much bigger is yet to happen? Throughout his pontificate, Francis has made enigmatic statements about the future of the Church and the world. He has spoken of a profound crisis threatening Christianity, using expressions like the hour of the devil and a time of trial. His words eerily echo the warnings given by Our Lady in 1917. The Pope has repeatedly emphasized that the Church will undergo a great purification, a period of challenges where faith will be tested to the extreme. Yet, he never directly clarifies what this ordeal will entail. One impactful moment occurred in 2017, during the centenary of the Fatima apparitions. While visiting the sanctuary, Francis declared that the prophecy of Fatima is still in progress. But if, according to the Vatican, the third secret has been fully revealed, how can something still be in progress? What still needs to happen? Another important detail, in several speeches, the Pope spoke about a period of spiritual darkness, where the Church itself would experience a great crisis of faith. The message of Fatima warned of this, a great apostasy within the Church, a time when many would stop believing, and even the high hierarchy could turn away from true Christian teachings. The fact that the Pope makes such direct statements raises more suspicions about what was truly revealed about the third secret. If the 2000 document were the complete content, there would be no reason for so many religious leaders to still talk about a coming period of trial. Another detail cannot be ignored. Pope Francis has been the most open pontiff to discuss Marian prophecies and messages. He frequently mentions the need for conversion and prayer, something Our Lady emphasized in the Fatima apparitions. But his pontificate has also been marked by controversies, internal divisions, and doctrinal disputes within the Church. Some say the Pope is trying to prepare the faithful for something not yet revealed. Others believe he may be the last leader before a great prophesied event takes place. One thing is certain, the atmosphere within the Church has changed. There has never been so much doctrinal confusion, so much polarization between cardinals and bishops. The faithful have never been so divided about the direction of Christianity. And that is precisely what makes the question of the third secret even more urgent. If Our Lady warned about an internal crisis in the Church, and if this crisis is visibly happening now, it means we are living through the final phase of the prophecy. In the next chapter, we will connect global events to the warnings given at Fatima. Wars, pandemics, persecutions, and the erosion of Christian faith, the scenario Our Lady predicted is unfolding. The critical question, unanswered, is, what happens next? The truth may be close, but are we prepared to face it? For centuries, many believed the Fatima prophecies were distant warnings, something that might happen in an uncertain future. But what if that future has arrived? What if the signs predicted over a century ago are happening now? Never before has humanity faced so many simultaneous crises. The world is collapsing, and each new tragedy, conflict, and church scandal seems to perfectly fit Our Lady's 1917 claims. With the third secret still shrouded in mystery, the question is, what comes next? The first major sign is in wars and geopolitical tensions. Our Lady warned that if humanity did not convert, it would face conflicts even more destructive than those of the past. Today, the world experiences unprecedented instability. The threat of global war is closer than it has been since World War II. Superpower conflicts intensify, military alliances crumble, and the nuclear threat is once again a real risk. Our Lady also warned about natural disasters and climate catastrophes. In recent years, the world has seen an escalation of extreme weather events, devastating wildfires, deadly earthquakes, violent storms, and global pandemics. These could be considered mere coincidence, but what if it is something much larger? The crisis within the Church cannot be ignored. Our Lady warned of a time when faith would be shaken within the Church's very structure. Today, we witness scandals shaking the Vatican, divisions among cardinals, and internal disputes over Christian doctrine. Never before has the Church been so fragmented, so many disagreements within the institution itself. Another key point of the Fatima prophecy was the persecution of Christians. Our Lady warned that those faithful to God would be persecuted. Today, this persecution happens daily in various ways. In some countries, Christians are killed for their faith. In others, they are silenced, ridiculed, and marginalized. The Christian faith is being erased from culture, schools, and society. What was once an unquestionable pillar of Western civilization is now treated as an obstacle. This leads to the big question: are we living in the end times? Does the third secret of Fatima speak to this moment in history? Is the scenario before us exactly what was predicted over a century ago? Our Lady did not come to scare us, but to warn us. What is happening now is not chance. Everything is occurring as warned. The question now is there still time to avert the worst? If the Fatima prophecies have already begun to be fulfilled, what will be the next event in this sequence? The Vatican is still hiding something. We are close to the final revelation. What comes next could change everything, but are we prepared? If the first warnings have been fulfilled with frightening precision, what must we do now? What still needs to happen? Our Lady did not make generic predictions. She warned about wars, spiritual crises, and persecutions, all of which are before us. If we are living through the first phases of the prophecy, what comes next? Is there something even worse on the horizon? Many believe what has been revealed is just the beginning, that the most terrifying part of the third secret of Fatima has not been disclosed, that the Church is hiding something so shocking it could cause global panic. Among scholars of Marian prophecies, a consensus is emerging: the worst is yet to come. Among the predictions that may come true is a great collapse of Christian faith. The weakening of religion is underway, but some believe we will see a definitive rupture where the Church faces its greatest trial. There will be an even deeper internal division, a crisis so severe that many will abandon the faith. This event has been described by saints and mystics throughout history, speaking of a great apostasy, a time when even religious leaders would turn away from the truth, leading millions into error. Another alarming point involves the possibility of a great punishment. Our Lady always warned that humanity would face serious consequences if it did not change its ways. One of the most feared aspects of the Fatima prophecies is the possibility of a great global purification. Some theories suggest this purification could take the form of a catastrophic event, something so destructive it would completely change humanity's course. In other Marian apparitions, there were references to a period of darkness, a time when the earth would be ravaged by extreme events, leading to the suffering of millions. In Akita, Japan, Our Lady spoke of a fire that would fall from the sky. In La Salette, she warned that Rome would lose the faith and become the seat of the Antichrist. All this may seem like exaggeration, but what if these prophecies are connected, and the message of Fatima is just one piece of something much larger? Another event many believe is yet to come is the final revelation of the true third secret. If what the Vatican released is not the complete version, then the truth remains to be known. Some believe a future pope will be the one to finally bring it to light. Others believe this revelation will not come from the Church, but from events that simply unfold before us. What is certain is that if something is still being hidden, the time for this concealment may be running out. Looking at current events, we realize we have never been so close to the scenario described in the Marian prophecies. The world is on the brink of collapse, faith is weakening, and moral chaos spreads like never before. Our Lady made promises, but also warned that the time for conversion would not be infinite. If we are already at the limit, what can we do? In the next chapter, we will explore our response to this reality. If the prophecies are being fulfilled, what should we do? Is there a way to avoid the worst, or has humanity already passed the point of no return? Time is running out, and what comes next could define humanity's fate. Faced with everything prophesied and what is happening in the world, the question many ask is there anything that can be done, or has humanity already passed the point of no return? If the Fatima prophecies have been so accurate, is there still time to avoid the worst? Our Lady never announced a future without hope. Her messages were always accompanied by a call to conversion. The problem is that over the centuries, this call has been ignored, and now time is running out. In her apparitions, Mary did not come to bring terror, but to warn about the dangers humanity was choosing. The message was clear: if the world turned to God, many punishments could be avoided. But if the separation continued, the consequences would be inevitable. Today, more than ever, we see the consequences of this separation. The world has rejected faith, embraced moral decay, and the Church is weakened. But there is still a way for those who wish to resist this spiritual collapse. The first step is prayer. Our Lady was categorical, stating that the world could avoid much suffering if there was a return to true prayer. The Rosary, in particular, was presented as a weapon against evil. In Fatima, Mary asked that the Rosary be prayed daily because this practice could change the destiny of entire nations. But how many have truly followed this request? The second step is penance. This is not just about physical suffering, but a real change of mentality. Our Lady asked people to offer sacrifices for the conversion of sinners. The problem is that modern society rejects any concept of sacrifice. Everything is based on immediate satisfaction, pleasure, and individualism. But what if this rejection of sacrifice is precisely what is accelerating humanity's downfall? The third step is sincere conversion. This means not only believing in God, but living according to the principles of faith. Our Lady warned that many Christians would fall into a superficial faith without real commitment. What we see today are empty religions, abandoned Christian values, and a society that walks without direction. Another fundamental aspect emphasized in Fatima is consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Our Lady promised that in the end, her heart would triumph, but this triumph does not happen automatically. It depends on the response of the faithful. Consecration is a profound spiritual commitment, a call to live according to God's will under Mary's protection. But how many still take this seriously? The big question now is there still time for global repentance, or has humanity already passed the limit? In several Marian apparitions, the message was clear: the longer it takes, the greater the suffering will be. If those of Fatima have already begun to be fulfilled, the only hope remaining is that people can still choose the right path before the worst happens. Looking at today's world, the reality is worrying. Most people are asleep, distracted by worldly problems, while the signs are before their eyes. Political and religious leaders speak of a promising future, completely ignoring the warnings given. What happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? What happened to civilizations that completely turned away from God? There was always a period of warning, a time for repentance. But when that time ran out, the consequences were inevitable. Now, we have reached the final moment. If the prophecy is still unfolding, the only question is, will humanity heed the final call, or will it continue to ignore it until it is too late? In the next chapter, we will explore the outcome of this prophecy. The triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary was promised. But how will this happen? Will we see a complete purification of the world? What awaits us at the end of this journey? The time for answers is running out, and the decision is now in the hands of each one of us. We have reached the end point of the prophecy. Since 1917, the events predicted at Fatima have unfolded with frightening precision. Our Lady warned about wars, persecutions, and a time of great apostasy within the Church. We have seen all this happen. But amidst so many warnings, one thing stands out: a promise at the end of the message. Despite all the punishments, the moral corruption, and the loss of faith, Our Lady's final great announcement was not of destruction, but of victory. Mary promised that in the end, her Immaculate Heart would triumph. But what does that mean? Many prophecy scholars believe this triumph will come after a period of purification, where the world faces one last great trial, a time of tribulation. Those who remain faithful will be tested, while those who rejected the faith will see the consequences of their choices. This purification will not be a purposeless punishment. It will be a necessary period for a new era of faith and hope to emerge. Looking at history, we see that great periods of spiritual crisis have always been followed by rebirths of faith. After each fall, there was a restoration. But for this restoration to happen, a great collapse was first necessary. The Fatima prophecies indicate we are reaching that moment. We are approaching the point where the illusions of the modern world will be undone, and the truth will be revealed. The question is, how will this triumph happen? Some believe we will see a global conversion, that in the face of the final events, humanity will finally recognize its error and turn to God. This could happen through a supernatural event, something that will awaken people to spiritual reality. Many speak of a possible warning, a moment when everyone, regardless of their faith, will see their souls as God sees them. This event has been predicted in several Marian apparitions, and some say it will be the last call to conversion before the final purification. Others believe the triumph will come after a great period of suffering, a final battle between good and evil. This idea is present in several prophecies and writings of saints. It speaks of a time when the faithful will be persecuted, where faith will be tested to the extreme. But in the end, those who remain firm will see the beginning of a new era. Regardless of how it happens, the message of Fatima is clear: the triumph will come. Evil may seem dominant, it may seem like it is winning, but this victory is temporary. In the end, the truth will prevail. But the most important question is not when this triumph will happen, or how it will come. The most important question is, where will you be when this happens? Our Lady warned that many would not see the signs, that many would remain blind until the last moment. But for those who recognize the truth, there will be hope. There will be a way to remain firm until the end. Now, the choice is before you. Time is running out. Will you continue to ignore the signs, or will you take it upon yourself to live according to what has already been revealed? The prophecy is ending. The world may try to deny it. The powerful may try to hide it, but nothing can stop what has already been prophesied. The triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary is certain. The only uncertainty is which side you will be on when that day comes. This is the last piece of the puzzle. Now, it is up to you to decide what to do with this information. The fate of humanity is being written before our eyes. The question is, will humanity finally wake up, or will it ignore the final warnings until it is too late? The answer is coming, and when it comes, there will be no more doubt.